Let's start with the don'ts and do's of color pencil. The first thing you don't want to do is just go in with full pressure. If you go with full pressure, it's going to be really hard to blend something else into it. So what you want to do is begin with light pressure and slowly build up the pigment until you have a more saturated patch of color pencil. The second thing you don't want to do is hold your color pencil like your writing pencil. Instead of holding it really close to the tip, you want to hold it about halfway up and use the side of your pencil to shade. This also will make your hand less tired, and you definitely want that because color pencil can become very strenuous on the hands. The third thing you want to avoid is drawing really dark pencil lines when you're sketching in your object. You can use a really light color pencil, or you can use pencil if you want to be able to erase, but either way, draw really lightly in the beginning stages with color pencil. Okay, we'll start with a blended value scale, value having to do with light. So on the left-hand side for our light values, we're going to just shade really, really lightly. I'm using a red color pencil. Notice how far back I'm holding the pencil and using the side to shade in a nice even layer. As I make my way towards the right, where I'm going to get darker, I'm going to layer more, but I'm also going to start applying heavier pressure. So eventually I'll end up with a scale that's light on the left and darker on the right. If you're getting really strong pencil strokes going in one direction, go 90 degrees, go the opposite direction, so that way you're getting a smooth shade. The other thing is that color pencil just takes a really long time, so don't try to speed it up, it just is what it is. Next, we'll do an analogous blended scale. Analogous colors are colors that are next to one another on the color wheel. So that could be yellow, green, green, blue, and purple. It could be red, red, orange, orange, and yellow. Any colors that are near one another will be an analogous color scheme. Go ahead and choose 4 colors that are analogous and related to one another. And you're going to start with one color on the left, and I'm lightly layering it in. And then what I'm going to do is when I start my next color, I'm going to overlap that area about halfway so that those 2 colors blend in the middle. It's really important that you have that overlap, and you'll really see here why doing light layers is important. So I'm moving on to my next color, and then I'll repeat the process. I'll start halfway with go with my color, start halfway, go with the next color. We want to make this transition as smooth as possible. Let's review our complementary color pairs. We have red, green, blue, orange, yellow, and purple. If you don't have these committed to memory, this is the year to do so. Red and green like Christmas, blue and orange like Tide Pods, and yellow and purple go Lakers. For the complementary color blended scale, choose one complementary color pair. You're going to put one pure color on the left, the other pure color on the right, and they're going to meet in the middle. So again, starting with light layers and having them overlap in the center so that you get that equal complementary color blend. We've been doing smooth blending, but if you wanted to have some texture, you can use cross-hatching, which is making lines going one direction and then layering lines on top that are going the other direction to make an X pattern. So I'm starting with green on one side. I'm going to use red, green complements, and I'm making marks going one way, and then I'm layering marks going the other way on top to create that crosshatch pattern. I'll do the same thing with my red on the right side, and then in the middle I'll meet together. I'm altering the pressure to get the ends of my scale to be more saturated and more intense. Color pencil can either look super simple or it can be really, really sophisticated and lifelike. In order to make it more sophisticated and lifelike, you need to blend colors together. So in this section of the worksheet, I want you to just practice layering two colors. As you're layering colors, put down your lighter color first and your darker color on top. The reason is that if you put your darker color down first and then your lighter one on top, and you realize that you got too dark, you can't really take that away. So it's better to put your darks on top so that you can control how dark you're getting. As you're making these diagrams, use colors that are similar, use colors that are different, but ultimately just notice that in the place where they overlap, how much richness is created there, how much more exciting that color is, how much more depth there is, and imagine if this is what happens with two colors, imagine what happens with four colors or five colors. Let's put it all together. So I'm going to start by taking my red color pencil for my red apple, and I'm going to just draw the contours, and I'm going to draw it really, really lightly. I'm using straight lines to sort of help me with my curves, but you should barely be able to see your drawing. It's just there to support you, but it shouldn't be a heavy outline. Next, I'm going to identify and mark my values. So I'm looking for my highlight, the area where the light is most intense. I'm looking for the light shape. I'm looking for my midtone. I'm looking for the shadow. And now I'm going to mark those, again, using my red color pencil, just super, super lightly. I'm just going to get in the general value shapes. For my highlight, I'm just going to use the white of the paper, so I'm going to allow that to show through. So let's go ahead and start with our light colors. If I look at my lightest area, I have yellow-green, and so I'm going to start off by putting those two colors in. Next, I'm going to work on my light area where I have more of a yellow, orange, and red. All of those colors are happening. So I'm going to start with an undertone of orange. And then I'm going to work my way up to my most true red. And I'm increasing the pressure slowly as I go. So I'm going to move into my midtone, and so I'm going to go in pretty aggressively with red, And I'm going to add a little bit of green as well because things are starting to turn into shadow. So just a little bit of green and heavier pressure on the red. You could even add a little bit of red orange towards the top. Just go based on whatever you're seeing. Then we're going to start on the shadow. So there's a really clear shadow shape right there next to our lightest area. And I'm going to go in with a pretty aggressive shape of red. And then I'm going to go in with my green on top just to sort of darken things up. I'm going to go back over my green with my red to really blend that in together and see if it's as dark as I want it to get. Go ahead and also do the details in the back in where the stem is, where you also see shadow shapes happening. And at this point, I'm just sort of jumping around. I have all of my major values set in place, and now I'm going to work on some details. So I'm getting in a dark value for the stem. I'm going back in and smoothing the transition between my yellow-green and my brightest highlight and taking some orange to work that in up there to make it more seamless and less of an awkward transition. I'm looking at my apple and asking myself, are there areas that I can make darker? Are there areas that are more true red? Are there areas that are more orange red? Capturing all those little shifts in tone is really what's going to bring this to life. In real time, to complete this apple, it took me 14 minutes. So it shouldn't take you really any less than 5 minutes or 8 minutes to really get this to be as realistic as possible. So take your time, ask me if you have questions, and we're going to practice more, so don't worry.